This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. I have to cover this story with Alex Jones, and it's hard for me to really get into deep detail about Alex Jones, about being an agent, agents in place, Cointelpro. I know a lot of people too are actually new to my channel, so some of you are like, yeah, we know, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people don't know, and then a lot of people do end up getting mad at people like me when we speak against Jones because they're herded into Jones like they're herded into Trump. They don't understand how Cointelpro works, and they haven't seen the results yet of what Cointelpro is going to end up doing to them. That's what the whole purpose is, right? So for those of you that don't know, I'm probably going to put a video up on the website about Jones and some of the stuff that Jones said in regards to Bill Cooper, what happened on the 11th day of September, before and after, who he blamed, because you could tell that he was an agent put in place because of how he flipped his narrative, how he got into Bohemian Grove right after that. There's a lot of things out there people should know about. And the dangers of it, of being, in an operation and following an operation that's Cointelpro, is what they end up leading you towards. Which with Trump, we could see that they've herded so many people into this that these people are going to be sitting ducks, sitting in locations that are going to be red states, etc., for these people to literally lead them into an annihilation. Annihilation. Now, I know it's the better of lesser of two evils, that whole narrative, but it's also very, very dangerous. But people at this point are looking for leaders, and they're finding them in the wrong people. So I have a video on Cointelpro that I did on the Eye for an Eye, which I have linked below if you didn't watch it yet, so you can have a better understanding of how the government infiltrates natural organic movements. There was a movement going on, and especially after the 11th day of September, they knew that more people were going to wake up, so they had an infiltrated what was, what we now call the truther movement, which was really just more of a conspiracy type movement that had guys like Bill Cooper in it, who they whacked off and then replaced and put Alex Jones in there so people would be herded with him. Cooper warned about it beforehand. So Alex Jones just recently was on Tucker Carlson within the last 24 hours of me recording this. And, this is how they gatekeep. Tucker Carlson, obviously, they realized that Fox News was not getting the full-on, Fox News is the best thing to follow. They realized people were getting smart to the fact that Fox News is controlled. Tucker Carlson broke away. Now he's gatekeeping people and hurting them on social media. I get it if you're out there and you still like to listen. There's obviously truth involved. With Alex Jones, there's truth involved with the things that he says. There's truth involved with the things Tucker Carlson says. So, yes, it's obviously, they're not out there spewing the opposite of what you want to hear. They're telling you what you want to hear. There's some truth involved, and of course there is. That's how they herd you in. Now you could say, well, what are you doing? How is that compared? Well, it's not. I'm a guy sitting on a laptop recording this. I don't have a true following. I'm not put on national television. I'm not getting millions of views, and that's all been cut off every time I've even gotten close to that, and that's by design. The agents are in place. We know the Illuminati card game, and it's eventually for what's going to occur. So Jones is on there speaking some truth, but I have to cover this if you haven't seen. Alex Jones, just like the Daily Wire came out, which these are telltale signs of how they work, because this is what they want to keep you in, right? Daily Wire comes out and is releasing movies, trying to be celebrities, telling you that they're a source of news, and then putting out films, trying to make you laugh and act like they're celebrities. Jones is putting out video games. Okay, this is what the truth movement is now. When in reality, when you keep this mindset of video games and movies, these are all things we need to separate from in our awakening. He talks about a great awakening. That's his latest book that he's pushing, is his Great Awakening book. I'm sure there's tons of truths in there, just like some of the stuff he mentions. Of course, he never mentions Bagelville anymore, and that's really where you could tell that he got flipped into an agent. It's because when you mention Bagelville, then you're on the real path of truth. If you don't, then of course you probably are bought and paid for. And when you flip sides on that, you know that they're bought and paid for, which is what Jones said. I'm going to play you the trailer, and then we'll get into more detail. For Alex Jones has a trailer for a video game. Again, keeping people in this mindset of playing video games, watching movies. I get it. Our whole generation has been indoctrinated with this. I'm just as guilty. I played some video games when I was growing up. I had Nintendo. Okay, watched movies. Before I was awake, I still look at some stuff. Okay, this is what we've been indoctrinated. But for a revolution to occur, we have to break away from these things. We can't just be killing and going after people in video games like Klaus Schwab. A real revolution needs to occur. But the video game itself, it plays into all of this stuff with how they're going to keep people hive-minded. Because the people out there that see this is just going to think it's absolutely ridiculous, because it's laughable with Klaus Schwab, how it's the imagery of it's Soros, keep an eye on the island and other things in here. Here's the trailer so you can see for yourself that InfoWars put out.
First came Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Super Mario Brothers. And now the ultimate retro nostalgia throwback game. I present to the world Alex Jones's New World Order Wars. They're turning the friggin' frogs gay. I'll eat your ass, you Nazi scum. Let's free the Patriots and defeat the globalist tech geeks.
We are going to defeat the globalists very bigly.
This game is mostly peaceful.
Woo!
I'm going to lower the world's population.
Oh, big deal. I'm taking you down, rapist.
I did not have sexual relations with that saxophone.
So again, I mean, it's comical. You can look at some of this stuff and laugh. I mean, I get it. You know, I've had the Baphomet getting knocked out in an intro, so I'm not hypocritical about it. But what people need to keep in mind is what's going on here, right? How does this make us all look is the main thing. So anybody out there that's fringe and then they think Alex Jones, oh, he's the face of this movement, he's this or that. And then they see stuff like this where he's got his own Contra type video game where you got the gay frogs. I mean, I'll go through all the stuff that he shows in here. And it makes it kind of like a laughable topic when these are all things that these people should be arrested for. They shouldn't even have a trial. Can we be real about it? So they actually deserve trials. Okay, these people are as guilty as they come. They admit to their guilt. But the whole thing is unbelievable. He even has the gay frogs in the game, if you saw some of the clips in the trailer, right? And you could also see some other stuff in there, like the infinity sign, etc., which I won't go into, and the magic potion being used, of course. And that gaslights people into it, because obviously that's a common thing that everybody would be like, well, he's anti-this, so he's got to be telling truth, because most of us, obviously, common sense would tell anyone with common sense that you should be anti the magic potion. So here are some of the things in there that are just the plot of the game in general, and then some of the news articles out there, how they take this stuff, which is all serious, they water it down so that you can get your revenge on these people in a video game instead of actually arresting these people, right? Then the other side looks at this stuff for people who are fringe and they laugh about it because they turn it into a mockery. When you have Klaus Schwab, who is literally doing all these things, talking about Great Resets, responsible for some of these world events that have occurred, and you have him on, on the head of the beast, right? I mean, so let's start here. This game starts off with Jones versus what? Jones versus Big Farm, right? So immediately people are like, okay, this makes the other side who hate conspiracies, etc., hate it even more, want to even get more potioned up. And then it moves from Big Pharma, who of course is an enemy to all humanity, to going to Google, right? They can't put Google's logo in there. Or Facebook, but they have him going to San Francisco, and Jones is all armed up, and he's going to search to the Google headquarters, and Zuckerberg pops up flying around in the backdrop. I mean, it is funny. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not funny, but I mean, it's ridiculously over the top, and it's the notion of a video game, and when a revolution needs to occur, it's part of the problem. Because it's the same thing with like sports. They have all these things in place. This goes back to ancient Rome. So that human beings would naturally, when things go wrong, they want to rise up against it. Remember all the stories like biblically with Barabbas and, citizens rising up, God telling them, all who take up the sword shall perish by the sword. There's a human nature to us, an instinct to us to fight, to push back against these types of things. So they take that energy and they want you to put it into stuff like sports. And I'm guilty of that. I grew up playing sports. They want you to still, like on a Sunday, it's the Giants and the Cowboys. It's the Cowboys and the Eagles. It's the 49ers and the Seahawks. You put your energy into that, rooting for a team. You're on one team, the enemy's on the other team. You see all these people take it seriously. They have fights at the games. They're taking your energy and directing it in all these different directions. A video game is the same thing because you're thinking how much these people are ruining your life. And you're like, well, at least I could go play a video game. But throughout history, civilians have risen up against tyrannical governments. They haven't, they don't sit around playing video games and watching movies. It's part of the problem. It's part of the government system that they've set up. And for people out there who they rationalize, they're like, I still like video games. I get it. I'm not making fun of you. We all grew up in this time period, so we've all been indoctrinated with this stuff, video games, movies, etc. But these are things like, when we look at the Amish, we're like, they were smart enough to not get involved with any of that stuff. If we all were separated from this crap, we wouldn't be letting them do this stuff. But we let them distract us. We let them entertain us with this stuff. And then what comes out of it? Nothing comes out of it. There are no revolutions when there should be one. We openly have people who are they're pretty much trolling us, telling us that they're involved in this stuff with kids, and nothing gets done. So Jones creates a game where he's going after them, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go get him in the video game. Like, let's have our own Call of Duty version, right? So as the game progresses, after he goes after Zuckerberg, naturally he goes to that island that we all know about that we can't talk about. And you got Bill Clinton on top of that famous structure, and Jones is taking care of him, so everyone's like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever, right? You have Hillary Clinton flying around on a broom, of course there's truth to all this stuff. But this is what agents in place do, right? When you're thinking about it from this perspective, instead of thinking about it, that's why they infiltrate movements, to stop actual uprisings. That's what Cointelpro is. So people get really upset about it because they like Jones, they like what he says, and I get some of that. But you could see all the other things. They're like, Jones has been censored. Jones has not been censored. Neither has Tucker Carlson. Neither has Russell Brand. They're moved to different platforms, so it builds up their credibility, and it also gives them even bigger followings, right? Eventually, Fox News is going to crumble, just like NBC, all of it. It's going to be one-head media. But people are now, buying into this stuff with Alex Jones not being allowed on YouTube. That set the precedent for nobody who talks about any of this stuff to be allowed on YouTube. The stuff you saw in the courtroom that Jones is going through, I can't even mention the place because that's an auto strike for the algorithm. But there's a hook involved. The stuff with Jones in the courtroom is a show. Because anybody who didn't believe in that, like I said a million times, would have went in there and said, I just want to see evidence and proof. He didn't do that. He just goes, I lied, I got to get views. Instead of saying, which set a precedent for what you can and cannot talk about. And he knows that because that's what he's doing. He's going in there without saying, hey, I can have this opinion. I'm allowed to have this opinion. I didn't believe what the news said. Instead, he went in there, apologized, said he shouldn't have talked about it, said he did it for views, said it was real. And then the government goes, this is what will happen to you if you question any of our fake news stories. That's the whole point. You will go to jail, you will get fined. This is what it's headed towards. At least going to jail will be next. That's communist government. That's this is China twofold here in America. So Jones played his role for all that stuff, and people out there don't want to believe it because he's a great entertainer. But for those of us who have been following the truth for a long time, which is a lot of you, mixed in with a lot of new people, for those who have been following for a long time, Jones has been an agent in place for a long time. Even the Illuminati card game references Jones. People have seen the video clips of Jones and his CNN card and all this other crap, who he works for, etc. We've all heard the theories about who he really is. We've heard the Alex Jones and Bill Hicks theory. There's so many things with him. But really, for me, I go to the actual proof in the pudding. And I go back to Jones pre the event on the 11th day of September, what he was saying right after the event, and then what he eventually started saying about who was behind it. Because that's when you see these people get intercepted with the bringing in of the internet around the same time period and needing somebody to replace, to act as if they're Bill Cooper giving you truth and having an agent in place who's going to lead you astray and then who's going to set precedents for what we can and can't talk about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I don't mean to go off topic with that, but you go on with the game. Let me continue with some of the stuff in the game. Then you bring up the truck stuff, right? And they put Tucker Carlson in the game because these guys are all now lumped together. Musk, Tucker Carlson, okay? Musk, Tucker Carlson, Russell Brand. You see them all rubbing shoulders with each other, all being friends with each other, all getting millions and millions of views. It's very dangerous, especially if you look at the past and the history of these people, with Jones and his flip-flopping, with the presidents that he's setting, with Tucker Carlson, where he was a lib and now he's not, and now he's, he gets taken off there. He gets millions of dollars from Twitter. Brand, a celebrity who's still in Hollywood, who pretends to be a truther. Musk, who's telling us we can go into space and uses the X of the Antichrist, which I'll cover in another video, renaming Twitter and all the stuff with him, dressing up as Baphomet right in front of your faces, then wanting to put a brain chip in you. Okay, these are all things that don't get brought up. But when these people talk, they bring up globalism and the new world order and these words that make people go, oh, they know what they're talking about. I'm going to follow them. And then that's how Cointelpro works. Eventually, when you start following them, you will get truth, but you also get led in the wrong direction and get led astray. So it's very dangerous. This is how government operations work. And for anyone out there that says it about me, well, I don't know. I went from, billions of views, hundreds of thousands of subs, many times, not once, many times, built over people who wanted the content. And this is where I am now. And I'm still doing it. Okay, I wouldn't have gotten taken down. Maybe one channel would have went down. Okay, I'm on like 100 something. So let's be realistic here about, I don't really have much reach. I'm not, Tucker Carlson put this video up on Alex Jones. It's getting millions of views, right? So when you go from having a large audience to a small one, you immediately should say, well, that's a sign that someone's not Cointelpro. Getting thrown off the platform like Jones, it didn't affect anything. Jones wasn't a huge YouTuber. He had his own, InfoWars is still up, But they do stuff with like Owen, the guy Owen over there, and they hurt people that way by trying to say he's in jail and all this other stuff. So I see why people fall for it. I understand why people like them. And then it goes to my next thing with these people like Tucker, him, is Trump, right? And I understand why people like Trump too, because he's great on the mic and he says the things that you think and want to hear somebody say to these psychopaths, right? But it doesn't get anything resolved. Trump didn't do anything in office. In fact, all he did was bring about censorship. And I get it for you to like, and I get the, I don't really get the lesser of two evils, but I guess I get it if I think about it, if you want to pick, but it just still takes away us not having a solution for this problem. And for people to point at me and say, for me to come up with a solution or for me to do, I'm not going to sit here and say that because I know I'm watched and monitored. Maybe I do have one. Maybe I talk about it on the website. Maybe I have it in a safe somewhere, what needs to occur when crap hits the fan. But what I want from everybody who follows my channel is for you to be prepared. That's what I want. That's what I care about. Do you want to support the channel and be a patron? That's great. I appreciate it. Do you want to support the channel and be on the website? I appreciate it. But the website is for you to be there and learn. What I want is for everybody who listens to take care of themselves and their families. And by that, I mean be prepared. Mentally prepared, food preparation, ammo preparation, water supply. Okay, understand that you can't tell people about these things, the supplies that you have. Just to be prepared. Then I'll feel like, okay, at least I was helping people be prepared and have an understanding of what narratives are going to come out after that and to help people realize that that's not the truth of who's behind it because the boogeymans are all in place. So that's what I care about. Okay, I'm not saying anything other than the truth on this channel that I believe. So back to the video game. I keep going off track. So you have Tucker Carlson and you have the Canadian protest, which of course is another precedent that was set, where the truckers had their bank accounts frozen. We know where all this is headed. The game moves on, of course, to stopping the Great Reset. He goes to Davos, and you see George Soros flying around. You see, you definitely can laugh at it, just seeing these people in these, images and stuff. You see, even skull and bones like references. And then you get claws on top of the great beast, on the top of the beast. It's all there for people, obviously, to be entertained by. And that's do we need entertainment? Do we need a good laugh? Yes. But my concern with Jones and these agents that have been in place is what's going to happen next. Because when we go into civil division and we're all divided and these people step in as leaders, people think I'm saying this stuff because I'm like, I want to be the leader. I don't want these. It's nothing to do with it. It's too good to be true to have these people who are still allowed to live stand out there. The people who have spoken truth have been assassinated or completely silenced. Okay? You got people like Ted Pike, who has spoken out against the real enemy, have had the ADL literally destroy their lives, right? Where they can't speak anymore. They'll either make you fearful to speak or they'll take your platforms away. Taking YouTube away from Jones didn't do nothing. Okay, Jones is blasted in the mainstream media. They talk about him on TV. He's a national figure. Talking about him every day almost. You hear him coming up on CNN, on Fox, on Jimmy Kimmel, on TV shows. So everybody knows of him, and that's all they need because when they know of him, then he'll still be able to get people to go to his website, etc. When you completely eliminate somebody like my old brand name, then, there's no mention of it on TV or anything. I don't expect there to be because I'm not an agent. So that's how you continue to hurt people. You just pretend, and they took them down, so they must be telling some truth. And then boom, people start following. And then when crap hits the fan, you start getting hurted by these people. So in this game, as Jones is fighting, of course, Donald Trump flies him with a cape. And you have all the same talking figures. Trump, Tucker, Jones being the guys who are going to look like they're going to be the face of some potential revolution, which would end up being leading people to their demise. That's what I fear. But of course, me personally, with everything that happens, I plan on being independent on my own. And I know a lot of us, obviously, on the website can interact and network. And that's something I've thought about. And that's something that could obviously be discussed when we see things go down the way that they're going to go down. But I'm not dumb enough to just sit here and think that we could start some type of a revolution or we could all go somewhere and we could try to live without doing anything to these people, just live peacefully because they'll just create a false flag around us. It's simple as that. They'll create a Waco. They'll say we're all in land together. They'll take some video clips of me in the past or even current videos of me. They'll twist it, say conspiracy nuts, say that they're coming for everybody. They don't like gays. They don't like this. Take it however they want, spin it however they want, and then give a reason for them to go in and annihilate us. So I would never do that because I'm not dumb enough to think that we actually could, right? But I worry about the people who will be hurted with these people and exactly how they'll be sitting ducks for them. But on top of all the stuff I've discussed, this is how the truth movement, what it's turned into. Alex Jones releasing video games, releasing whiskey, his own whiskey, Giving you truth and doing that stuff, shilling for those things. And then on the other side, you get the Daily Wire, which is, pretty much all the agents of the Daily Wire have replaced, like I've said, all the old guard here on YouTube, all the channels that a lot of you used to listen to. You probably don't even remember half of them. You only remember me because I continually am flying around here with different names. But they've been replaced by the Daily Wire. Daily Wire's going, hey, we're walking the red carpet taking selfies, we're making movies, we're counterculture, we're culture war. These are all CIA ops. Culture war is a CIA op. There shouldn't even be one. Revolution should have started a while ago. And the people who are allowed to speak are keeping you hive-minded and herded one way or the other, on the left or on the right. So the Cointelpro video I've linked below for anybody that wants to watch it. If you didn't see it on my other channel, I recommend you do, because some of you are like, all right, I don't like what you're saying about Jones, but you got to step back. You got to research these things and understand that none of these movements, none of this stuff happens. When it does happen organically, they infiltrate it. So they infiltrated the conspiracy truth movement. Tucker was just talking about Jones being somebody who called the event on the 11th day of September beforehand. Okay, Jones mentioned it beforehand because he was listening to Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper was talking about it for years beforehand. Bill Cooper was talking about a guy in a cave named Osama, okay, who was going to be the exact thing that went down. He said the exact script and how it was going to be played out. So Jones was using his talking points because he listened to him, and sporadically Cooper would go on his show and Jones would silence and censor him. And Cooper had said that he was an agent. Right after the event happened, Cooper was wiped out by the IRS, supposedly. The IRS came to his home and shots were fired and he went bye-bye, and the face of the entire movement became Jones. Now, I'm not saying that Cooper wasn't, I don't agree with some of the stuff with Cooper, with Jesus Christ, etc. And the fact that he worked in the government, I'm well aware of his whole background. So you take, like with any operatives, you take some truth from them. You know that they're going to give you some truth. Was Cooper one? Well, he was whacked. So it tells me that maybe while he was in the government for a while, it doesn't mean that these people aren't in the government naturally. Like the FBI wasn't always fully infiltrated. Ted Gunderson's proof of that. They throw you out if you don't go on board with this stuff. Some people believe that's what happened with Kennedy. Some people don't even believe he's dead. So, the Jimmy Carter theory. So there's lots of stuff. But anyway, Cooper was replaced with Jones. Jones became the face of this. Jones was led into Bohemian Grove. Okay, you're not getting in there and living to tell about it. That's just a fact. I'm telling you right now. Let alone, if you got in there and were able to film it, you wouldn't live to tell about it, but the footage would never, ever get out. And then 20-something years later to still be alive, talking, maybe not freely in your mind because you feel like he's censored, but he's still talking pretty freely. Okay? He's still alive. Let's just put it that way. You wouldn't be. If you understand how Bohemian Grove works and how these people work, you would never see the light of day. You would sleep with the fishes. You would just vanish, and they'd make up some story about your disappearance for anyone that asked. You wouldn't still be out there. You wouldn't be the face of a movement unless you were an infiltrator of any type of resistance, right? Of any type of movement that would stop what's happening. And then they keep you, in the video game mindset, the movie mindset. Well, all these things tongue-in-cheek can make you laugh and entertain you. I don't think we're at a point where we need to be entertained anymore. I think we're at a point where we need to stop this from happening. But they want to continue to entertain you, and then when stuff does hit the fan, they will herd you. That's my fear. I know most of you are already awake to this, but share this with people then. Let them know, hey, now Jones is releasing a video game. They're still doing the stuff with the hook, pretending that he's censored. You have even Yahoo talking about now the far right figures are releasing video games for games called New World Order Wars. You know what I mean? Alt-righters are now releasing video games. It's sad but true. This is how we're fighting back in the video game avatar world, right? Sad, but reality. I thank everybody for being here. Hope to see you over on the website, uprisingrevival.com. Videos linked below for anyone that wants to watch it on Cointelpro with the Daily Wire. God bless all of you as always and your families.